Good afternoon and welcome to episode 7 of the Sporting Club Ireland podcast. Our next guest is one of Ireland's finest hurlers of his generation. He served Antrim for almost 2 decades with great distinction, captained his county, and was one of the most skillful forwards around. He has since seamlessly transitioned into media and is one of the best pundits in the game. And he's been a great friend of the Sporting Club Ireland, and I have to say one of the nicest men I've ever met. Welcome, Neil McManus.
Who was that you were describing, Mark?
Yeah, hey, I should have. I was planning to practice this intro, but I didn't. I'm going to start doing that. But I was describing you, Neil. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Mark. Thank you very much for having me on the pod. And as you've said, I've been lucky enough to attend a few of the Sporting Club Ireland events so far and got great value from them. Really enjoyed meeting all the people that you have involved and some unbelievable attendees as well. But one thing we do very, very well in Ireland is sport. There's no two ways about that.
100%. I'm not sure if you can hear my kid in the background. You probably can. But so look, Neil, before we get into the hurling, curious, besides obviously when we see you on the TV, what's keeping you busy at the moment, Neil?
So numerous things, Mark, quite like yourself, a couple of young children in the house, and I'm still playing hurling with my club here in Cushendall, and my wife still plays with her club in Dunloy as well. So that's a truly mixed marriage in the north. If you know Cushendall and Dunloy and the Antrim club rivalries that exist there. And then, yeah, I'm so lucky to get to do some punditry with the BBC and RTÉ, and it's phenomenal. I couldn't enjoy it anymore. My friends get great fun out of it, telling me that I get to participate in big games that I was never good enough to play in, so we get great crack out of that. And then myself and my brother have a sports tech business, which sees me doing a little bit of travel, supporting organisations and clubs on their compliance around anti-doping. So look, it's full on, Mark, but it's fantastic. I'm very fortunate. There's no two ways about that.
No, look, you mentioned the business before, and it sounds like something really spectacular. Even Harry was very impressed with it. So, are you out of that startup stage now? Or are you still kind of in that startup, kind of getting to the next level stage? Because I know it's going to be massive.
Yeah, we're very much in the startup phase. We're ramping up our clients, and look, we've been very fortunate with some elite sporting organisations and sporting clubs across football, boxing, athletics, track and field, and we've been and rugby as well, actually. So and the GA. So we're very fortunate. We've a great start, and the support you get from the Sporting Network here in Ireland is just incredible. How well people want you to do, how much they're willing to help you. Is totally unprepared for just how far that would extend in truth, Mark.
It is incredible. And case in point, you're sitting with me here today when you have a meeting at 2:30. So I have also found that it's an incredible network, and there's some just wonderful people, and they really do try and give you that lift up and help in any way they can. So look, I briefly touched on, obviously you've been at a few events, you get the concept, you understand sport is a strong common denominator. So from what you've seen so far, like, do you understand now why people should potentially look at joining the Sporting Club Ireland, look at kind of getting involved in our events? Is that picture clear to you?
It always has been, Mark. Not only are the skills that you learn in sport so transferable into your working life, your business, they're the same. And what we're trying to do in a sporting environment is create a community where people trust each other. They work collaboratively towards one goal. And like whenever I've been at your events, I have been helped by people in a totally different industry, a totally non-sporting industry, and that's exactly how this works. Any business who joins the Sporting Club Ireland will benefit in ways that they haven't even imagined yet. We all think that there's a straight path to where we want to go, but it's never the case, and it is all about that community and that ability to lean on other people and then help them in return. And I have been the beneficiary of that. I've been able to connect a couple of people as well from different areas of my life, and it's been so beneficial to me and my brother as we started off. And I couldn't recommend joining the Sporting Club Ireland and getting yourself to that event anymore.
Appreciate that. I actually wasn't looking for a plug, but no, because obviously you've been there, you understand it. You're in the startup phase as well, and we both know there's no silver bullet. But me and Aoife just sat down last night and we went through everything we've achieved so far, and the people who've got, I suppose, the right connections. We got to start up some investment stuff like that, and actually made us sit back, and we actually felt proud because you can imagine, Neil, I've been talking to you a lot. That the stress is big, and you're in that phase sometimes as well. So look, I just wanted to get a quick little bit of business in. Now we will talk about what people are here to listen to. And Michael Meehan got a lot of listens. I know they weren't listening from me, so I imagine you might get something similar. But we've got two big games this weekend. Like from where I'm standing, I see two clear favourites. But I'd like you to kind of maybe break down both games, how you see them, going, and where I suppose maybe Galway and Clare can pull off upsets. So we'll start with Cork and Galway.
So we're gonna disagree immediately if you see two clear favourites, Mark. So
You're the expert.
And I know that, like, if you look at the odds and the general consensus around this weekend as a whole is that we're going to see a Cork and Limerick final. I cannot see it being just as straightforward as that. The hurling championship in its totality really needs a big weekend, and I firmly believe we're going to get it. And you're sitting there in your Galway top, and I think we're going to get a big performance from Galway. I think they will challenge Cork in a way that Cork have not been challenged yet, which is on a stylistic front and on a structural front. Galway, from the start of the season, it was very clear Micheál Donoghue is going to change what is not working. From the first league game that I watched them playing, which was against Tipperary, and I think they were beat by 6 or 7 points. The new structure was clear. Where the Galway were intent on running the ball out, playing a possession-based game, getting it to their 65, or at least in between the 65s, and delivering diagonally in towards Jason Rabbit, Conor Whelan, Evan Nyland, whoever is in there at the time. And your job is to secure possession until the cavalry arrives. But the thing about Galway now, they're not going direct, so that means the cavalry must arrive, and they are. There are 3 and 4 runners coming from midfield, half back and half forward, streaming forward, even though they've all got back to defend to ensure that there is an option for whoever ends up with the ball. They nearly proactively make those runs from deep in case one of their own forwards, Jason Rabbit, Conor Whelan, whoever, gets their hands on the ball, that they're there to support. But they're also making sure by getting up the field they can get some sort of a press on the opposition to allow them to build out. And you need to do that against the top teams, because if you let Cork walk out to 50 yards, they'll kill you. But I think Galway will continue to do what they have been doing, and that is playing very, very deep. Like, there will be 11, 12 of their players in their own half on numerous occasions on Saturday. There will also be the conundrum of what do you do with Cathal Mannion, okay, who is one of the best players in the country. I love seeing him play up the pitch because he's a phenomenal forward. But the role he has been playing for Galway this year has been highly effective, and sometimes a little bit subliminally, because he's not racking up the scores that we've seen him rack up last year, and he was Galway's heaviest scorer last year. So it's a brave decision by Micheál to give him that role where he's going back and playing the playmaker role, if you like. So, do Cork man mark him? I think the answer is yes. I think Ben O'Connor watches the Galway performances, especially that Leinster final where he must have had 40 or 50 possessions, and says, okay, we can't have that. And he, I've said earlier in the week, I think it will be Tommy O'Connell who picks him up. I know he had a broken thumb for the quarterfinal. I hear that he is back training, so I think that could be the matchup there. I don't see them bringing Niall O'Leary or Sean O'Donoghue out of the cornerback position right out to midfield, because they're not just as comfortable as Tommy would be, carrying the ball forward. Although Sean O'Donoghue has ridiculous pace, and you wouldn't know what would happen. He scored a point against Offaly too. So, but like, so what happens there? Who marks there for Cork? How does that affect their structure? Because Cork, no one has been able to deal with the pace and the athleticism of Cork up front. So there are 5 players who all have a really, really good chance of playing in the half forward line. The only one who's absolutely nailed on is Shane Barrett at 11. The wing forwards may change. I think they will change from the quarterfinal, but we'll see. And then like Alan Conley and Brian Hayes are clearly going to start in the full forward line, but who joins them? That's the big thing. I think William will get back in. I know he didn't start in the quarterfinal, but I think William Buckley will just about edge it over Alan or Barry. And it's just how much of that space that sits in front of that Galway full forward line that allows them to win primary possession and receive lovely quality ball. Can Galway close off essentially, and then obviously turn them over and work the ball out as they like to. And I think it's intriguing. I wouldn't bet against Galway. I really wouldn't.
I just want to say, Neil, and obviously I'm still on my training wheels in this side, but I meant on paper Galway and Clare.
But you can't go back now, Mark.
I can't go back now. But well, let me put it this way. I think Cork deserve to be favourites, but I also think probably Galway are exactly the type of team they wouldn't want. I think Micheál Donoghue has rediscovered their identity. I think Daithí Burke is playing wonderful hurling. They've got Aaron Nyland. Is it Joe Rabbit? I can't. Jason. Unbelievable. Sorry. Like, they're looking good. Like, they're definitely going to leave it all out there on Saturday. And, if they can stop Cork's running game and get really stuck into them early, like, I am more than quietly confident that Galway can pull it off. So if there was a shock this weekend, that's probably where I see it. But as I said, hurling inside out, you're paid to talk about it. Very interested to see what your thoughts are. Very interested to see where do you think Galway might be able to get on top? What might help them cause this small upset?
So if Galway are going to get on top, they're going to have to transition really quickly. So when they turn Cork over, which will happen on occasion, of course it will, they need to do that really quickly with huge intensity on their press, with others getting up the field, and they have been good at that at times, but it's consistently at that high level intensity. The big advantage that Cork have over Galway is the intensity at which they have operated through the Munster Championship. It is at a different level to the Leinster Championship. Was the Leinster Championship on the whole more exciting and more competitive overall? Yes, it was. But the intensity is higher in the Munster Championship, and Cork have that base behind them now. Galway this will have to be Galway's best performance of the year.
What's hard?
Yeah, it will. And I think their athleticism is key, and I think they have loads of it. The runners from deep, and I'd love to see them starting Neary at wing forward as well. He's got such athleticism. He has such wheels. I think he adds to it. But again, that's always a benefit coming off the bench too when other people are tired. If Mark Coleman's having a big influence and then he has to worry about Darren Neary for the second half or something, that can play in. But I think it's all about how quickly they transition and their ability to win ball up front. Because if for example, if Jason Rabbit is being well marshalled, for example, a lot of it has depended on Jason as who is a youngster, so he is allowed to have a quiet day now and then. So how Galway will need other people to be winning ball high up the field for them in the likes of Conor Whelan. You probably will see Conor Cooney coming on at some stage and being in around the square as well, so he will have to have an impact. I think their bench will have to have an impact too, and they're going to have to score a couple of goals because Cork will be 25 points plus. That's the truth.
100%, and I agree with you there. And just now, I actually think Conor Whelan has obviously come back into rich vein of form. Tom Monaghan is an unsung hero. I think, this is the non-expert, I think their efficiency in front of goals is going to have to be right on. I don't think they can afford to hit too many wides, because that kind of creeps in and it's confidence. So I think they almost have to be up with like a 90% conversion rate, because I don't think they'll have as many chances as Cork. So that's just me thinking it with my Galway tinted eyes, that if they can kind of get over 90% conversion with shooting, they have a chance. And you're 100% right. Goals still win games. And from the Cork perspective, and it might be stating the obvious with this, but like, who are the key men for those guys on the day? And if Cork do get the job done, who do you think will kind of, get the job done for them, essentially?
Well, the battle I'm looking forward to most is undoubtedly Daithí Burke against Brian Hayes. It is mouthwatering. I'd walk to Croke Park to watch those two lads going at it. Like Daithí is generational defender. I think he had 4 consecutive All-Stars in the full back line against Brian Hayes, who's been pretty much unmarkable this year. So that will be intriguing, and they're obviously at different stages of their careers. But that will have a bearing, because Brian Hayes is scoring a goal or 3 in numerous matches this year. He's man of the match maybe 3 times already out of 6 games or something. So like, he's having a big impact. And Alan Conley's been quiet thus far this season, but going by his goal scoring standards. So that's massive. If Brian is again on that sort of vein of form, whenever you're trying to stop Cork, right? Dara Fitzgibbon is one of the best players that we've had in the country over the past 5 or 6 years. He had serious surgery. He comes in against Offaly like there's nothing, wrong with him. And whenever he gets to Croke Park, you will notice Cork will try and draw Galway out of position to leave pockets of space for him to run into. Usually after the other team have landed a fairly major score on them, and they have to be wary of that. So whenever Cathal Mannion or whoever is back there at that given time, they have to be so wary of that and make sure that they're filling those pockets of space, because Cork will exploit them, and the pace that they have. Like, I was in Páirc Key for the Clare and Cork game. It was it the last game of the round robin? I think it was. And Shane Barrett, when he's not tagged, like John Conlon was trying to sit back. Ryan Taylor would usually be the Clare player. He's coming back to grab a hold of the opposition 11, and he wasn't there. And was he missed? Boy, was he missed. Shane Barrett, given any sort of space, he will run at you. And Galway will have to play with a little bit of cover because of that. So, but Neil Donaghy knows this. So he is.
Of course, it is. Yeah.
The point that you've made is quite correct. He's saying, okay, they are going. The opposition here are going to get more chances. We have to be ruthlessly efficient with ours, plus be getting 2 to 3 goals. That's how we're going to win. And he has embedded personnel that work with that game plan, and I've been so impressed with him this year. The speed at which he has turned around Galway's fortunes. He's been there, done it, won the All-Ireland. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's a great manager. Look, when Cork get the game played at their tempo, without a doubt, in my opinion, they're the fastest side left in the championship. Like, they attack in waves, like they support runners brilliantly, they punish turnovers immediately. And as you said earlier about Cork stopping Galway, can Galway stop Cork transitioning with that pace? So look, it's going to be a great chess match. I can't wait for the game. As I said, fingers crossed with my Galway hat on, that this is the shock of the weekend, but they'll certainly give it a good rattle, and I don't think there'll be a huge amount in it. So if you were picking, you had to put your house there in Cushendall on the line, who are you picking there, Neil?
I'm going to go for Galway. Yes. Because I think that, I know it's an outside shot, but Cork haven't come up against this challenge just yet. It's so hard to be totally and 100% up for a match that you're supposed to win well. That there is no doubt that is not a help. And this is a shot to nothing for Galway, nothing expected. All the pressures on Cork, lovely position to be in. And whenever you think about it, like there are all Ireland winners in that Galway team. Conor
Yeah.
Cooney will be coming off the bench at some stage, has an All Ireland medal in his back pocket. Conor Whelan the same. Both Manions, Daithí Burke. I could be missing, one or two there, but those guys for sure have All Irelands from a decade ago or just shy of a decade ago. So there's a bit of experience there. There's a lovely crop of youthful players who have entered the fray this year. And one thing's for sure, this will be tight and Galway will be very hard to beat.
Sense. No, and I'm going, obviously, I'm going to go away as well by 1 point. And if this works out well, we'll clip up what you say, Nova Digital, my new clipper uppers. We'll do this for you. I don't know how to cook, but anyways, that'll be next week. And if we're wrong, we'll forget about it. Okay, so that's that one. We're tight on time. So obviously Limerick Clare. So what do Clare have to do differently from the Munster game to turn this around?
Clare's form has been so up and down. You look at their Tipperary performance and you're thinking, wow, All Ireland contenders. And then the game that I was at down in Park against Cork, and you're thinking, I'm not sure where they're going. That's how far off it they were that day. And I've heard, some people say that Clare were aiming for third spot. They wanted to come in and
Really?
an unchecked way into the semis. I don't believe it for a second. I don't think you can stage or manage something like that. I think Clare were fortunate to get through. Are they dangerous? Of course they are. Any team with Shane O'Donnell, Peter Duggan, Tony Kelly, up front,
John Connolly
are going to be capable of wonderful and magical things. But Limerick have been like a group possessed all year, and I don't know how Limerick are going to line out exactly because they have such an embarrassment of riches. Like Munster final comes and Adam English can be left on the bench. It's crazy stuff. One of the most impressive players in the country. I do
Tom
think
Morrissey.
He starts. Yeah, Tom has just so much experience, and him and Grode usually share nearly a spot now over the course of the game, which is understandable. But Adam English, every other county in Ireland would
have him.
Be captain. He's
incredible. Yeah.
So I do think it will be Limerick for this reason. I don't think the Clare backs can manage the Limerick forwards. I think the Clare forwards are exceptional, and we hope to see David Reedy. I hope he's recovered really well from that big knock that he took, and we do hope we see him in Croke Park. But it's not the forward line where Clare have the problems. It's at the back. Is Conor Cleary going to be fit? Is Davy Mack going to be back on after rolling the ankle in that quarter final? Like, that's your 3 and your 6 right there. So when you do, at 6, the ready-made replacement in John Conlon, no doubt about it. They need Ryan Taylor fit, playing in that covering role, starting in midfield. They need Cal Malone to have a massive game. They need Davy Fitz to have a huge game and to be probably starting and to recover his form of 2 years ago. They need Shane O'Donnell to be flying as he was in the quarter final, and they need a TK special. It's an awful lot of things that Clare need to go right.
And they need everything to go right.
They do, and it could. I'm not saying it couldn't, but it's unlikely that everything clicks on the one day, and they need all those things to click.
Yeah, look, I've mentioned before, we're obviously Galway number one in this household. Aoife's family are all from Clare, so we keep a huge eye on Clare. And when you were playing, Antrim was the third county Aoife would keep an eye on. But I don't think Clare's form has been very good this year. Even the Tipperary game, I think a lot of their star players have been off it a bit. I know they did reasonably well against Dublin the last day, but then I'm asking myself, is that just Dublin? They've just been beaten heavily by Galway. Was their win against Kilkenny, was that the one that was, out of sync? So I think there's a lot of questions personally about Clare's form. I don't have any skin in the game in this one. I think Limerick are incredible. Like, I mean, like everyone, like as you said, you go all the way down to the panel, like they're incredible. Like who picks up the land, who picks up Garrett Hager, Kyle Hayes is like he's like a bull just running up the centre. Like, you mean, I picked Limerick at the start of the year, and again, obviously I'm not the expert. I'm talking to the expert, but like it's easy from the outset to do that. But I think everything they've done this year has looked good. I think they're going to peak at the right time, and I think they're going to be very hard beat. And if I'm being honest, I think they'll win this game by 10 points plus on Sunday. Now, this is why I don't get paid for my analysis, but that's just, again, easy couch potato pundit. That's my thoughts. I
Don't
just
worry,
think
don't
I
worry.
think they're too good.
We're all guessing, Mark. Don't worry. We're all guessing at what
But I
will
just think
happen.
I think they're so good, Neil. I think they're so good. Like, I think they're not unstoppable, but they're incredible. Like, again, and
They're like,
yeah,
I know they haven't won either of the last two All Irelands, but they have been the standard bearers. They are one of the greatest teams in history. This year, Caroline Currid back, and they do look to have a will about them, which is very dangerous for everybody else because Limerick are on a mission. There's no two ways about it. John Kelly is not still there, with anything other than bringing these lads back to the very pinnacle of the game. And when you look at the young players that they have brought in over the last, two seasons, Shane O'Brien, Cathal O'Neill, are just incredible. Adam English is probably there. This might be his fourth season in the panel, but he's only really playing consistently in the last two. They've made an incredible difference. And he tried out quite a few players in the league as well, like Matthew Fitzgerald at cornerback, etc. And like there's such a strong bench as well that can come in. I don't see past Limerick. I think they'll win this game. I don't think handy. I think the first hour of this game is going to be incredibly competitive. Clare will hang on. They will throw everything. Like Brian Lohan's their manager. They will put everything they have on the line here. But it will be a remarkable feat if they can even bring this down the stretch. I think because of what we've seen this year. But like Clare's year so far, how do you sum it up? They won Division 1B in the league. They'll be happy about that. They made it out of Munster. That's the second box ticked, and now they've crossed the quarter final intersection in their semi-finals. So they would say we've ticked the first three boxes. In their defence, they'll need a full hand to pick from. Their defenders, especially, need to be right to allow them to have the rear guard that their first choice rear guard, which I don't even think will be enough. But they have won an All Ireland more recently than Limerick. There'll be a few people lining up to tell me that for sure. But I just think the Limerick machine is going too well for Clare to be in a position to stop it, given the up and down form we've seen from them this year.
100%. And just to give a reason why I think it'll be 10 points, I think it'll be the last 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes when the Limerick bench is much stronger. Clare have given everything for that in the time. I think it's going to be physical. They won't be gotten out there. And I think there'll be two incredible games, but I do think Limerick will pull away at the end. So look, I think we're both going to go for Galway and we're both going to go for Limerick. There we go.
Yeah.
Now, I have less than 2 minutes left of your time, so I'm going to ask a question.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I can roll over if I have to.
Well, maybe do 4 minutes. I did want to ask you one question, right? This is just one I made up on the spot because I don't prepare for these things. If you could transfer in 5 players to Antrim and a manager, what manager and what 5 players would you transfer into Antrim to bring them to the top level of hurling?
I'm going to go to the easy one first. As the manager, John Kiley has reset all the standards in management. I hope he leaves room in the car to bring Mr. Kinnerk up with him. So that will be the start of it. I'll go with Aaron Gallan, number 1. I think he's been the best inside forward we've seen in the past decade as well, and I think he's still right at the peak of his powers. Then Kyle Hayes. Like when we were talking about what gives Limerick the opportunity to beat everybody else, I think it's where they can get scores from. So it would be no surprise if Kyle Hayes has 2 or 3 points scored on Sunday. And if Diarmaid Burns on the other side of the field has another 3 or 4 on top of that, that's just their half back line. Never mind, we
Yeah.
forget about Adam English in midfield, who's the potential to get you a goal and a couple of points. You know, so um, the balance that Limerick have as well is the other thing. I know we'll come back to our players here, but for every place they can get scores from, they have a Will O'Donoghue, you know, who is just going to
Yeah.
do the hard work, the hard yards, be that absolute warrior that you need. He's going to be the silk, he's going to be the steel to allow the silk of the Adam Englishes of this world. Dara O'Donovan, those type of players, they're equally as important, but
Yeah.
don't contribute in the score sheet just as heavily. And Dara Fitzgibbon, number three, is just he's been on a different level over the last couple of years. Athletically, his ability to score from range, he can hit the freeze for you if you need it to. His hard running and his selfless use of the ball. Brian Hayes, he's just scoring more goals. Goals win games, and he's getting better.
Yeah.
That athletic prowess has been there for the last couple of years, but his hurling is even better now, which is scary. And I'll say Shane O'Donnell. I still think some of the things that man can do. Like you see him coming out, going towards the ball, he gets hit a massive tackle, and you think, "Where's the ball?" And he springs it onto his feet, and it's there. He's something else. He scored a point against Dublin, which at one stage it was just like, how did he do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Oh, he is.
I'll be leaving out five here equally as good, but they're the five that spring to my mind in this second.
Get Neil McManus out of retirement. To be honest, if we did live in a world in fantasy GA and we did get that manager and got those 5 players, I tell you what, it wouldn't be long before Antrim were competing at the top table. That is a fact. Now, I could talk to you all day. We don't have time. 2 last things. Are you watching the World Cup at all?
I'm watching bits and pieces. Mark. The the things we talked about at the start are infringing on that for sure. So the World Cup is kind of coming second, but look, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here, aren't we? So it'll be so interesting, especially whenever you have a couple of high profile exits, Holland and Germany, it spices things up a little bit. So who's to know how it'll go? It's it's enjoyable for sure. But look, for me, it just France look so good.
They're
So
incredible.
that's where I'll
Yeah,
throw my 2 cents.
I said France at the start. I don't get to watch much of it, by the way. I've watched the England games and I've watched the France games, and that's it because I don't have time. So no, France. And last one, will you get to tune in to Ireland playing Australia on Saturday morning, or will you be otherwise engaged?
No, I should. I'll not be heading down too early, so to Dublin for the weekend. So I should, and obviously it's all about next year for
Of
Ireland.
course.
But there's a whenever all the provinces are going in some way well, that naturally gives the national team a better chance. And now we've seen a little bit of a resurgence in Ulster. That will help the national team. Obviously, Stuart's a massive part of that. He's one of the best centres in the world, in my opinion,
It's
and
incredible.
he's brilliant. And that drives standards then within each of the individual provinces as well. So let's see. There'll be some lads getting some game time who are relatively unknown, and Ireland need to unearth a couple of additional talents to really bolster the squad now in the depth. So no better opposition to do it against.
Absolutely. No, it should be good. And are you at BBC or RT this weekend?
BBC now for the
BBC.
semi-finals
That's
and
it.
the final. So
Okay.
no, I'm sure blessed to be involved. Mark is the
Oh,
truth.
you're living the dream. You get paid to go to these games. Incredible. And you got to chat to Katie Taylor like on the beach, man. You live the dream. So, but look, you had a career that gives you those opportunities, so you do deserve it. And but will you be working the Sunday game as well, or is it just BBC from here on in?
Maybe one nighttime show. We'll see how things go. But for the live games, it'll be with BBC for the last 3 games of the championship.
Beautiful. Well, you are a legend. I was mad to chat about Seamus Flanagan's 18-a-side idea, John Milan's ideas on championship restructuring. But another day. Listen, enjoy the games the weekend. Tell whoever the call is with, I'm very sorry for delaying you. Neil McManus, you're a true legend. You've been a great spin for Sporting Club Ireland, and we'll chat to you soon.
Thank you, Mark.
Live the dream.